This morning, our guest is Barbara Ann Foley, President of the Council on Aging. And Barbara Ann has several things that she wants to go over with us. One sounds very interesting. It's a little dinner.
It is indeed. The formerly Harwich High School, now mixed with Chatham to be Monomoy High School, has invited seniors in Harwich to come to, I was saying to Paul, I don't know if you'd call it a late lunch or an early dinner. It's kind of a in-between time on November 19th at 3 o'clock at the high school. The Council on Aging will make available the Cranberry Coach van to pick you up. So what you need to do is, if you would like to join us, we are not going to have a lunch at the COA that day. I repeat, we're not going to have a lunch because we want people to be able to come to this. So it's Wednesday, November 19th, 3 o'clock at the high school cafeteria. And the RSVP is pretty simple. It's 430-7200. And then there's an email address as well if you would like that. So I hope that you will make reservations. If you have any questions, you can certainly call the Council on Aging. In order to get a ride, you do have to call the van, the Cranberry Coach, at the 508-241-1566 phone number to make a reservation for that day, and they will pick you up and bring you to the lunch and bring you back home again. Harwich Council on Aging had a little splash in the news. We have a little newsletter that Blue Cross Blue Shield, a newsletter called Healthy Times, that Medicare recipients receive. And inside of that newsletter is a little blurb. It's interesting what it started out to be and what it ended up as on our Shine program, as well as something about hoarding. Now, the reason why I said what it started out to be is we were known, I guess, in the Blue Cross and Medicare world for the Harwich COA for our work with Alzheimer's and with hoarding. And then, so they interviewed me and got a lot of information on both, and then partway through, I guess, our stats came in from the Shine program of over 330 seniors served in our town in one calendar year, that they decided instead to put in the, instead of the Alzheimer's, to put in the Shine program, which they did, and had a couple of quotes and some photos. And so I said, well, okay, so does that mean you've dropped the hoarding as well? And she said, no, you were so passionate about it, we decided to put in at least some things to look for with hoarding. So what sort of started out as sort of one dynamic turned into another. But in any case, it's been really nice. We've had a number of seniors who have gotten it in our town say, oh my gosh, that's my COA in there. So thanks again to Blue Cross Blue Shield and Medicare for that.
Now, is hoarding a problem?
Hoarding is a big problem, not only in our town, but in every town across Cape Cod. We have a Cape Cod hoarding task force, as well as our own little Harwich hoarding task force.
What are people mainly hoarding?
Stuff.
Stuff,
you know,
just everything?
Yeah. Years ago, when we first started here, it was a lot more with animals, like the cat lady kind of thing.
Oh, I see.
But not so much of that anymore, as it is, some we have are squalor and filth of, you know, rotting food in garbage bags all over the place. And others are, you know, magazines and newspapers and things that they've collected that aren't rotting food, but are where they can only get through their home in pathways. You know, everything else is piled from floor to waist high or higher.
Is there a lot of that?
There is a lot bigger prevalence than you would think, in addition to the fact that the ways that we find out about it are often with falls. You know, somebody will have a fall and they've got a lifeline, thank God, and they press the button and rescue comes and literally won't tell you what they say, and then they take the person off to the hospital, and we usually will get a form afterwards saying, you really need to get into this house and help them.
I thought it would be food, but it doesn't have as much to do with food as other things?
No, it doesn't. And it is a diagnostic manual now, the DSM-5 they're on, psychiatric manual that they use for diagnosing people, has now included hoarding as a separate category. It used to be under obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. and did not have its own coding, and it does now. We are, which we're thankful for. What does that mean? Well, basically, in a nutshell, it means that when the person gets diagnosed, they can get some help and have it paid for. Before, the doctors were really trying to cobble together the wording to make it so that it would get paid for, because if the person does not get, if they only get cleaned up with help and they don't get the psychiatric counseling that they need, it's all going to come back in a month or two.
That's true. Yes.
So it's basically a moot point in cleaning up. And we have a lot of very well-meaning children who will come in and just say, oh my God, my mother is, or my father is, or my uncle is. And they get this big cleaning crew come in when the person's not home, and then they show up and they're frightened out of their mind because
all
it's
my
something
stuff
that's,
is gone.
Right, and it's something that gets attached in their brain at about age 15. And usually comes out in an exacerbated form from a stressor. Sometimes it's a death of a loved one, sometimes it's a car accident, and it's usually in their 50s to 60s. So it's kind of the baby boomer age. Sometimes they've skated along even into their 70s and 80s, but family has noticed it was just the way mom was or just the way grandma was, when in fact it is indeed a psychiatric disorder. And as much as we all might kid about it, it is something to be taken seriously because it presents a very, very bad health hazard.
I was a executor of an estate, and this gentleman had stuff that he may have hoarded at one time because the cellar was full of it. And when he died, we had to get rid of everything. And then the attic, there was, one day he had to go to the hospital for, I don't know, he was there about 2 or 3 weeks. And my wife and I kind of cleaned it out, but it was, a lot of stuff, a lot of little stuff up there.
Yeah, that's.
But he, I wouldn't say he was a hoarder, but he must have been. But he stopped sometime because everything was old.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes they run out of room, or they end up renting those pods that you see now that, sometimes people when they're moving into a new home have, that they're slowly trying to get their stuff in. When people are renting a pod because there's too much stuff in their house and they're not a new homeowner, not newly moved, there's a problem.
Wow.
Because they've run out of space. And to that end, this week we have another seminar on downsizing, and we will have another that will discuss exactly what Paul was talking about. What is the difference between a clutterer or collector and a hoarder? Because there is a very big difference, and the biggest part of it is the psychiatric disorder part.
Well, we kind of got you off a little bit of a track here, but it's interesting.
So on Monday, coming up, November 17th, we have ironically, a How to Remember Not to Forget seminar, which will be at 10:30. And she is going to be serving a lunch on Monday, very kind of Atria Woodbriar, Joan Houlihan, and it's going to be shepherd's pie and I think a cornbread, and I can't remember what else with it, but a very nice lunch anyway. And you need to RSVP if you want to come. It's 10:30, Monday, November 17th, and you can call the Council on Aging as soon as you see this and let us know that you would like to join us, and we'll put you down for the seminar and the lunch. Joan has a lot of the latest current information and the latest research on some sort of tricks of the trade of how to remember things, all kidding aside. And she's going to be talking about that. She's from Atria Woodbriar, which is way down in Falmouth. As I said, she's going to be providing the shepherd's pie, a salad, and dessert, so that you can have something to eat while you're listening to what she has to say. If you would like to join us, please give us a call at the council. I know by now most of you have probably already welcomed Will Remillard, our veterans agent, to the Harwich Community Center. But I would like to just say one thing. A number of people have asked, how do I see him or where and all of that. He is inside the Council on Aging now. We are so grateful to have him because whether people realize it or not, a lot of the veterans services dovetail on the services that the Council on Aging provide. It's not to say that all of the veterans are older seniors. They're not. There's some younger younger seniors, and there's some younger veterans as well.
A lot of younger veterans now.
There sure are, and we welcome all of them to come. And Will has said he's happy to see people by appointment, and if people drop in and he has time and he's not at an appointment, he welcomes them as well. So we just wanted to formally welcome Will and to tell both him and the audience listening how grateful we are, because we do often refer to him, so it's nice to be able to walk across the hall and say, you know, Mr. Jones needs your help or Mrs. Smith needs your help, kind of thing. So we're very grateful that he's here.
Where is he located now, here in the community
So he
center?
is inside the Council on Aging, right across from the Social Services office where Kevin and Rick are located.
Oh,
Literally
over in that
across,
building.
yeah.
Okay.
And if you've been to the council, it's where the computer lab used to be located. It's in that room. So easy to find and easy to make an appointment with as well. So this Friday, we have a couple of programs going on. One is at 4 o'clock after a lot of people's workday on Friday the 14th. We are going to be having our first Remembery Walk Committee meeting. It's a mouthful. We really can use your help, and if it's something that you're able to do, we would love to have you. It's not a huge time commitment. It's sort of, we meet and everybody kind of takes assignments to go and do certain things, and then we come back again and say who's done what and what else we need to get done. So it's a pretty active group. It's not kind of let's read the minutes from last week kind of a meeting. It's really a doer type of program. So if that's something that you can do, we have 2 events that will be coming up, the wine and cheese event as well as the walk. So we would love your participation in helping us. Again, that's Friday at 4 o'clock here. And that morning, we are going to be doing the balance class will start. We've had a delayed start first because of the voting day and then Veterans Day. So we moved everything and said we'll start on Friday the 14th. I guess I should be grateful it's not Friday the 13th. And that will be at 9:30. If you have not signed up for that yet, you certainly can. It's 10 sessions and it's $20 for the whole program, which works out to $2 a session. You really can't beat the price, and it's all done in the chair. So if you're someone who's struggling with balance issues, please do not hesitate to join us. And if you are someone who is not sure if it's something that you would like to do or not, you can either give me a call or you can come that first day on the 14th and watch what we do. We also have a new program, Paul, that started with a demo on November 6th, and we have a number of Zumba classes, but in this studio, Jamie kindly taped a chair Zumba, which is a new program with Julie Rich. She's got 5 different Zumba certifications. I didn't even know there were 5, but there are, and there's even one in a pool, if you can believe that.
I didn't know Zumba was that
It's very popular.
that popular.
And she will be here on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12:30 for an hour till 1:30. So you can, even if you're a working person, you can take your lunch hour and join Julie. And it's $5 a class. So if it's something that you would be interested in, you can certainly give us a call if you have any questions. Otherwise, you can just sign up with her and see if it's something that you would like to do. She has done the demo already, so she's not going to do a free class like some of the other programs that we do, some of the other exercise programs that we do have. So if it is something, I guess I would just sort of watch from the sidelines. And the last thing I want to gear you up for is on December 15th from 9:30 to 11:30, we are going to be having our Safety Day fair. And we haven't had that for a little while, but we've had a number of folks that have asked us a little bit of variety of questions that the Safety Day actually covers. So we will have, if all goes well, home safety, fire safety, police safety, personal safety, and balance safety, as well as safety for people with Alzheimer's. So I'm hoping that if you are interested, that you will sign up for this program. It's going to be a free program, and as I said, it'll be 9:30 to 11:30 on December 15th. So that's been a lot of information. I would urge you to look at your newsletter. If you don't get a newsletter, please call us, and we can send you the form that you need to fill out. It's free. There's no cost to it. We would love to have you receive it so that you know everything that's going on. You can see it's quite chock-a-block full. And what I would also suggest is in there we have an article, this newsletter, called Do You Know What the Silver Alert Is? Very similar to the Amber Alert, but for seniors with memory issues. And on the page behind it is a form. So if you are a person that has some memory issues, or a caregiver for somebody, or a spouse of somebody, or anyone in your family who has either something like a dementia or Alzheimer's, or even just some forgetfulness, it's a really important form to fill out and bring a current photo with to our local Harwich Police Department, to Donna Tavano, our Elder Affairs Liaison Officer. What they do with it basically is they take the information, they put it into the computer, and they scan in the picture. Now, why would you need that? Very quickly, what they do is if somebody goes missing, or if something is going on with that person, so let's say, God forbid, it was Paul, and Paul is at his house, and this info has already been turned in by his daughter, say, and either Paul can't be found for some reason, or Paul is down on the floor, and somebody has called 911 on his behalf, or maybe he's even hit his medical alert bracelet. What will happen is it will come up on the screen in the computer, and there will be a picture of him. So if they indeed were looking for him, they will know exactly what they're looking for. So similar to an Amber Alert, where the police departments get the photo and they, blanket every police department in, say, the state of Massachusetts, they would do the same thing with Paul's picture if he were missing. As soon as they realize that he's missing, they take the info from the sheet and the photo, and they blanket anywhere that it needs to go so that he can be found very, very quickly. A very, very good program. Excuse me.
Wow. So you've got an awful lot there for everybody.
There is, and so if you know someone in that position, please fill that form out. It is not any breach of any confidentiality. It stays right in the police department. It's not going out to anyone unless you're missing or something is wrong.
Very good.
So that's finally it for us. I know it's a mouthful, but it is all contained in your newsletter. I just want to give people reminders, because sometimes you look through it, I know I do with other newsletters, and I circle things, and then I kind of forget to get back to them. So.
You ought to take that forget program.
Right. How to remember not to forget.
There you go.
So join us on Monday for that. Thank you very much for tuning in.
All right, thank you too.